Welcome back folks, and welcome back to a new video. Today for the Oblivion remaster, I wanted to make a beginner's guide for all of the new players that are starting the game for the first time. Oblivion under its hood has a lot of interesting gameplay systems that can really enhance your gameplay, so let's go through them. As you have seen in the intro to the game, as a classic RPG, everything here has bonuses and buffs that can be useful, but don't min-max stuff too much as it's really not needed, especially at the start of the game. First off, different races of Cyrodiil have different buffs and traits that you can combine with the type of character you will be playing. Dark Elves are good with sword, bow and destruction magic, and can even summon a ghost for aid. Red Guards are very versatile with any sort of weapon and armor style. They have more constitution and have natural resistance to poisons. Khajiits are good thieves, they can see in the dark, have higher acrobatic skills, and so on. After that, Uriel Septim will ask you for your Birthsign, which also plays with the bonuses you want for your character, like for example a thief has a 10 points in agility, speed and luck. The Lover gives you greater power to paralyze targets for 10 seconds, although as you see this can only be used once per day, which is fine at the start, but later on you will get spells that anyway you can cast all the time and are much stronger. The Shadow grants you invisibility for 60 seconds and can also be used once per day. So you get my point with these, you choose what you feel will help you most in your game. And at the end of the intro they will give you class selection where you choose which skills will be your major. We will go through that in the next segment of this video. You can also create your own custom class where you select what you think your character is going to be like, but choosing from this selection is actually recommended for new players. As you see in Oblivion, they give you a lot of freedom in what you want, so let's say you like using magic, swords and heavy armor, well, there is a class for that, or maybe you can create your own, or even select what type of magic you want to focus on. But again, don't worry, you will be able to level up other stuff as well. As I said, you are not limited in that way. Speaking of skills, you have two types, major skills and minor skills. Major skills represent your main skills which you have chosen. For me, as you see, I have Blade, Alchemy, Acrobatics, Light Armor, Marksman and so on. As you level up these skills, you go through stages, as Novice, Apprentice, Journeyman, Expert and Master. With each tier you unlock, for example, at a level you see here like 75, we become an Expert, which means that our regular attacks have a slight chance to make your opponents bleed. This means that the better you get, the more buffs you have, which allows you to go through enemies much faster. Minor skills are your optional ones. This means that here are some worth leveling up to enhance your class. Some not so much, but keep in mind all of these minor skills can still be mastered, since in Oblivion skills level, up as you use them. So for example, if you jump, you level up acrobatics. If you do alchemy, you level alchemy. If you use light armor as people hit you when you go into fights, that will also level up. Only difference being that, for example, mid-game, if you say, okay, I don't want light armor anymore, I want heavy one, when you put on one and start fighting, you will be at a disadvantage, but over time you will level it up. As you level up those skills, your main level experience bar rises. Once it goes up, you have to go to bed, sleep for an hour, and you will get this screen. You get 12 virtues that you can spend in attributes like strength, intelligence, willpower and so on. Each attribute increases different stuff, from your health to your fatigue, magicka and so on. Some are specific for the type of weapons you use, so if you use a short sword or a dagger, you won't be leveling up strength, but you will be leveling up agility. As you spend points during that level up, others get locked out for that specific level up. So I always go in groups. I put point in luck, because luck scales with every single skill you have, which gives bonuses to those skills. Every level I do it once. Now here I wouldn't recommend freestyling too much, especially at the start of the game. Focus on what you use first and then later on add on other stuff which can help you. Every time you level up, NPCs in the world get stronger, and every few levels better tier gear starts becoming available, meaning that your enemies, human ones especially for that example, start using better equipment. So if you level up fast and your skills and weapons cannot follow up, game will scale a lot, making it much harder. So focus on leveling up the skills which you need, and then when you get a chance, you can spend some time and level up your character. Because if you gain 10 levels because you focused alchemy only and now enemies are stronger because let's say you are level 10 but your blade skill is not even 50 or whatever you use, it becomes an issue, especially on higher difficulties. Magic in Oblivion is actually pretty cool if you decide to pursue it, but in any case your character will have to use the magic even as just, for example, a healing spell. There are 6 schools of magic: Destruction, Restoration, Mysticism, Illusion, Conjuration, and Alteration. Destruction magic focuses on, well, destruction, so these are your classic offense spells like Fireball, Lightning, and so on. These are useful. I actually recommend leveling this casually as you play, so from time to time, shoot a fireball at an enemy. Restoration is extremely useful as it's one of the cheapest ways to get your health back, especially at the start of the game. If you don't have potions, you can actually level this up just by using it, so for example veterans of the game just spam cast spell as they walk around and do stuff. I mean, passive leveling basically in that sense. You can do this also with the rest of some of these similar spells. Mysticism focuses on absorbing, reflecting, dispelling, and binding souls among the rest, which I will talk about in another segment of this video. Illusion is useful if you want to affect people's morale and what they think of you, a seduction basically in that sense, as well as aggression itself. Besides that, these spells include paralysis, silence, making light, which can be useful, invisibility, and so on. This is very good for thieves and other stealth characters. You paralyze the target and then crit with a dagger in stealth. Conjuration, on the other hand, focuses on you spawning stuff like monsters and other types that will fight on your side. Besides that, you can also summon armor on yourself, weapons, and so on for a limited time. And Alteration being another useful thief and stealth magic school, which opens up locks, gives you a shield, walking on water, breathing underwater, and so on, because it can also provide more carrying capacity. This is great for all of you loot goblins. If you specialize in magic, or even if you don't, just go visit the Mages Guild in cities and start working with them. You will learn a lot, plus you get some nice rewards, and after some time you can even make your own custom spells, which is a separate video by itself, but that's where you really start getting into shaping what sort of a spellcaster you want to be. In Oblivion, regular items go only so far, as you will need enchanted items. You can either find them by fighting NPCs, looting chests, and some buying. Enchanted items like weapons give you bonuses like from basic stuff, fire damage, cold damage bonus, and so on. Every time you strike an enemy, the magic inside of that item starts depleting. Once it goes to 0, you will still do damage, but you won't have that bonus magic damage, so you won't, do other stuff or just use all of that from that weapon. To recharge the item, you use soul gems. You can only recharge the item if you have a full soul gem, but keep in mind, in your inventory you will have soul gems which are empty and require a soul or, well, magic to be recharged again. And after you use a soul gem, it's destroyed. But later on you can do a quest where you get the black star, which works as a soul storage that doesn't break, but that's much later in the game. You can also loot Varla stones in Alien Ruins because they also recharge items, but better to focus on soul gems themselves. But you can charge them on your own by lowering the health of the enemy and then using the soul trap spell to trap it. There are even ways to have a soul trap on your weapon, so just as you hit the enemy, it traps it, making the process faster. Speaking of enchanting items, you can do it yourself on the enchantment table, but you can also use a Sigil stone, which is the end reward for closing an Oblivion gate. When you use them, especially at the start of the game, you select one non-enchanted item and you can apply an effect to it. Sigil stones applied to armor give a different bonus than being applied to a weapon, so think what you need, more and what gives you better stat for your character. Items also lose durability. To repair them you can either loot or buy repair hammers and level up your armoring, but you can also pay to traders that focus on armor and weapons and they will fix it for you. I actually suggest leveling up this skill to at least 25 because below 25 you cannot repair enchanted items, which is a problem later on, so at least level up until that point because you want to be able to repair them. At the start of the game, the item storage can be problematic, depending where you can put it, but of course you can use some of the other storage units around town to put some of your stuff, but I don't trust it 100%. But you can actually get a cheap house in the Imperial City docks. Again, there are other ways to get some of that free stuff like houses, but to be honest, this house is so cheap you can just get it as it serves as a nice place to get some stuff you loot back to it, or if you steal it and wants to fence it later. But in any case, if you want to buy a house in the Imperial City, you have to go to the Market District and go to the office of the Imperial Commerce and get one for 2000 coins. After that you go to Three Brothers Trade Goods and buy the furniture. You can only get the storage because if you want that for the start and don't want to spend too much money. A lot of new players are a bit confused with how lockpicking works. It's actually very straightforward. So when you move a thread of the lock, it can only go fast or slow. Only click when it goes up slow. Each one you push it, for example, a few times, and if it, locks in fast, do not click it. If it goes in slow, then click. The most important thing here is to stay patient as there is no timer, so just wait until it goes up slow and click, and that's all. Later on in the game you will get a feel for it and you're actually going to get a skeleton key if you finish like certain quests. Don't want to spoil it, but it's going to go much faster. To get a free horse in the game, just do the start of the main quest until a point you see that you can actually ask a monk for a horse. Now besides that, if you go to the stables in the Imperial City, go in and choose the armor for the horse. Once you do that, go out and the armored horse will be waiting for you. Although after they added sprinting in the game, I really didn't see a point to use a horse, especially those starting basic ones. Of course, later on you're gonna be getting some better horse and a special one, which is definitely going to be worth it. Another big question I actually saw in my comments is to how to fight ghosts. So to fight ghosts or any sort of a spectral wraith enemy in the game, either use magic or silver, so silver arrows, silver weapons and so on. Even some of the items which you have which are enchanted can actually deal damage to it, so it's not going to be a problem for as long as it has some magic in it or basically silver. Haggling in Oblivion is a must, but to do that you have to get a person to like you. Now Persuasion minigame is for that because you get to choose: admire, boast, joke or coerce. Now if you hover over it you will see that the person might like it or not. Now this rotates, so if you click on something which the person doesn't like, you will lose only 1 point. Then do it, which means that when it starts rotating in a way, there is going to be an option where you can click like something that the person likes and it's going to give you more points. And every single try you can only click one of these things once, so click carefully. After that you can click to haggle and start moving the bar to the right. Usually if it's 80 I go for the middle, but it also depends from NPC to NPC. Some are easier to haggle with, but definitely do this because you can really make some good money and spend much less. Persuasion also works for quests and information you get from NPCs, so if you ask them something and the dialogue is still highlighted, it means there is more to it. Once you progress through the main quest, Oblivion gates will start opening up. I really suggest closing them as you get rewards, so loot these sacks you see, plus even in some plants and herbs you can actually loot them for alchemy later. Besides that, as I said, you get a Sigil stone which allows you to enchant an item and use it for other stuff later on. The goal to closing an Oblivion gate is to get to the top of the highest tower, so always go up. Now in some instances you will have, for example, where you have to go to smaller towers because you have to go on top of those smaller towers to open up some gates and doors to go into the main one. But every time the goal is the same, always climb to the top so you can actually close it. Oblivion has a lot of factions you can join. I suggest you do this as you get some cool items and stuff that can help you, like for example, if you steal a lot, then joining the Thieves Guild is logical as you get access to a fence to sell those stolen items. Some factions require some finessing here and there, especially the Dark Brotherhood, but you will learn that through rumors when you talk to NPCs, so it's very important to do that. I try to keep these beginner's guides spoiler free, so I could easily tell you where to go. I mean, go there, do that and get the best stuff right away, but you miss the adventure which you would normally go through in this game. To do alchemy in Oblivion, it is really straightforward. You just need some tools. The basic one is the Mortar and Pestle, but you can also get the Retort, Calcinator and Alembic, which helps a lot with the alchemy and gives you bonuses as well as removes certain bad stuff. You can make potions and poisons. Poisons can be applied to weapons, so when you attack, basically that one strike, the poison is going to apply onto the enemy. You can buy these in the alchemy shop or straight up loot them in the world. These are in your inventory, so you just click on them and start the minigame. Each item in Oblivion has a different effect. As you see here, if we were to combine two items that restore health, we get the potion that well restores health. Once you master it, you can make only, for example, a potion from one item, which is really good and very useful for the, end game and sort of that stuff, but at the start of the game you have to combine two and more. So I really suggest, looting a bunch of items and then going into alchemy and then just making potions, because you're going to level up alchemy and everything you don't need you can always sell to the traders. Saving in Oblivion is important, both quick and manual saves as well. Things can break, glitch out, so it's always good to have backup you can return to. Game does auto saves, but I wouldn't trust them, so as I said, quick save and hard save, especially before any big quests. You can make money in Oblivion in all sorts of ways, from selling potions you make to stuff you loot or stole. Plus activities in factions, give you money. Arena pays well, and every single faction where you raise in ranks, you're gonna be making a lot of money from that, because making coins in Oblivion is not that hard if you loot stuff, but always make sure to haggle. And try not to buy too much from traders early on, rather focus on looting stuff, because anything you can buy you can loot. You can also shortcut items, pretty much any usable items, going into the inventory, pressing R or the controller equivalent, and then simply, pointing where you want it, hovering over the item and pressing that number, and it's going to be in your quick slot. This is very useful, especially for fighting, if you want to change your weapon quickly or your maybe magic, or maybe you want to drink a potion. This is what you need. And for the end, I really suggest that you explore the map. This game has a lot of locations that have really good loot and quest lines that will never appear unless you search for it. There is really no downside to this, as in any case you even unlock more fast travel points and side missions in Oblivion, because they can be very useful. They're the best part of it, as you get to meet all sorts of characters plus get some unique loot which can be really powerful. And that's it for this video. I wanted to put as much info as possible without going into glitching and min-maxing, because if you want to do that you can always search for it. This is more about using the systems to play the game at your own pace. If you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing for more, as well as join our community on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!